Meta-discussion. Meta-discussion is discussion about the discussion, or discussion about the participants of the discussion. So, stuff like, oh, you think blah blah blah. The oh, you think is that. Or common types of meta, ad hominem, talking about how well or badly the argument is going, that sort of thing. Meta encourages people to reply in meta instead of to the point. Meta might seem like it's helpful, but it actually isn't. Another type of meta is saying, I agree or disagree. Now, this can be useful as an indicator of which points still need to be addressed, but it's often pointless and takes time away from the content, and it gets bad when you say you agree or disagree when you actually don't. E.g., people often make the mistake of saying, I agree too readily, before they understand what the other person has said, because they want to show that they're open or they're being reasonable or something. Similarly, people are too quick to jump to I disagree if they don't understand what the person has said and just thinks that the other person is wrong. The basic reason it's bad is that it's off topic, but that is very important. An example would be if you start off debating about whether we should be in Iraq and end up debating whether the person secretly wants to install communism. Arguing about Iraq and arguing about someone's state of mind are two different arguments, which on the face of it have nothing to do with each other. But in a debate, when we're caught up in it, we sometimes think that those two are the same thing. It's obviously off topic, but it's hard to take on board the full significance it's off topic when you're in the situation. Meta is irrelevant. Meta drives arguments into black holes in 3 ways. 1, meta is off topic. 2, meta breeds meta. You can't contradict a meta statement without making another meta statement, which in practice always takes you even further away from the topic under the discussion. If you say, you're only saying that because you're a communist, they'd say, A, I'm not a communist, B, that's not why I said it, and C, I was right. The I was right was starting to go back on topic, but it's meta form. The substance of meta is bad. Meta in form is okay-ish. So, for example, I meant rationalism, as in how Popper defined it. In form, that's a statement about you. I meant blah, blah, blah. But in content, it's a statement about what the argument meant.
Isn't clarifying the argument meta, though?
It's...
Oh, no, it's to sort of further explain your argument.
Yeah, so you can do meta in content and in form, and like I said, the substance of meta is bad, but the form can be okay. But often the form encourages more in form, which kind of encourages in substance.
Can't the substance be okay?
So, no, meta in substance, as in meta that is off-topic. As in, the substance of what you're saying is meta, rather than the substance is the on-topic thing.
Saying, oh, this is a bad way of explaining the point I'm trying to make, is substance of matter. Whereas, like, actually just giving a better explanation is possibly form of matter, but is, like, actually conceptual. Saying, oh, this is a bad way of explaining it, doesn't help the argument itself progress.
There are lots of other things that you can say which would be meta according to this.
The important point is whether or not it helps the argument progress on topic. Whether or not it helps the other person then resolve their misunderstandings and things like that.
Right, so it's just bad presented as a step in an argument.
It's bad in general. There's a difference between on-topic and off-topic meta, we can say. The on-topic meta is when you're actually talking about the thing and it's just to clarify. It's basically making the argument, except in another way. It's saying, sorry, what do you mean by this? Oh, I meant this. Oh, what did you mean? And I meant are meta. But then the this is on topic, and it is basically just saying we need to repeat the points that we made, or it hasn't been explained well enough. But if you said, oh, this argument isn't going well, or whatever, then that is entirely meta.
So bad meta is off-topic meta.
Yeah.
Even on-topic matter is, like, suboptimal.
Is dangerous, yeah.
So saying something like, I don't understand why you think that sending troops into Iraq will solve the problem, is meta because it's talking about what you don't
Yeah.
understand and what
It
they
would
think.
be, yeah, in that case...
Just asking why will sending troops
Why?
into Iraq solve the problem isn't
Yes.
meta, it's purely on topic and
Right.
is more efficient than...
Yeah.
Okay.
Another interesting thing that Richard touches upon there is that meta often is longer. If you say something in a meta statement, it is often longer than saying it in just the content way. It's only shorter when you're saying what I just said as a way of repeating what you just said, except shorter. So this is meta in form but not in content. So if you say, I think that you think that blah 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 and I think you are mistaken, is longer than just saying blah 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 is wrong. And that connects to the thing, shorter is better.
So, is meta not good in general for conveying good intentions?
Meta can convey good intentions, but
No.
conveying good intentions isn't furthering the argument necessarily.
It might make the person more amenable to a discussion. If you say, I want to understand what the problem is, or something like that. It's not part of the argument, but it's not a bad thing either.
Pointing out a mistake that a person commonly makes in an argument is meta, because you're pointing out, you keep on making this assumption or whatever. And it's meta and it's off topic, but actually, if pointing it out to them and getting them to resolve that might make the argument progress more quickly later on, because they stop making a mistake.
Yeah.
If you didn't use meta in these cases, then I think that it would be just as efficient, if not more efficient. You shouldn't say, you're making this assumption. You should just say, this assumption
I know,
is
but
wrong.
I'm talking about conveying good intentions.
Good intentions, yeah. I need to see an example of what you mean. Conveying good intentions...
If you were having an argument with someone and you were
It's just
sort of
like
being quite clear, and then someone's of your arguments against, and then just saying, reminding them, but I am sympathetic, I still want to know.
So that would be a case of meta that is actually about a different topic, and you should be aware that that is about a different topic. Like, there's the content of what you're talking about, and then there's...
Yeah, okay. So meta is just the problem when it gets mixed up with the argument.
Right.
It's kind of useful for social reasons
Yes.
most of the time.
Well,
with
indirectly
regards
for the argument.
It enables the argument in a social context.
yeah.
So
If no one was doing meta, then you wouldn't need to clarify in a meta way, because if people don't care whether you're doing good intentions or not...
If we were all robots, then we wouldn't need to do meta.
Okay.
What we're saying, the point is, if no one was doing meta, then you wouldn't need to do
The thing about conveying good intentions, it's when someone starts getting frustrated and then says, you're just not going to listen to me, or, you're just being
Hopefully you
resistant.
say it before that stage.
No, I'm saying that this is the problem it's trying to solve, avoiding that situation. But that situation is a meta situation. If a person was just concerned about the content, then conveying good intentions probably wouldn't...
But it'd still be important for, social reasons.
For social reasons, yes.
And also,
yes.
for if they want, after finishing that conversation, then they might want to have further ones because they thought it was unpleasant.
Sure, yes. But again, that's all a meta thing, and basically it's important to know that it's a different topic from the one that you're discussing. So meta drives arguments into black holes in these three ways. Off topic, meta breeds I went through this communist thing. And the third one is that meta engages emotions. Popper wants our ideas to die in our place. Meta wants to substitute us for our ideas and let us die instead of our ideas, or if not die, be trashed. Changing the focus from the substance of what's being argued to attributes of the speaker or the nature of the discussion. That's what meta does. So it engages emotions. If there's a danger of meta, instead of saying, I meant so-and-so, say, that meant so-and-so, just to be on the safe side. This is again where it's, although meta just in form, it can be a bit risky, and so just to be on the safe side, it's better to try and say things in a non-meta form. What if they think that you're not going to answer properly? This often happens that people think that you're being unreasonable, and they just don't argue because they think that you're not going to do it properly or whatever. There is a temptation to answer with meta to clarify, but don't. You should relentlessly stick to the content. Try asking a different question on the same topic, or ask in a different way, or change the topic. You should get specific. I actually went through one of the arguments I had with Tanya on Facebook, and Tommy actually, and I think there are other people in it. And I noticed that I actually went meta quite a lot, and we all kind of did a little bit in form. But, so for example, Tanya and Tommy were saying that if they give examples of romance being good, then I will just say that they're not romance. So what I actually said, which was a bad meta way of doing it, was that no one has actually told me a good part yet. If you do, I will give you that as a good thing from romance. I might also suggest ways of getting those good things outside of romance, given that romance has all these problems, but do suggest something good from romance. What I should have said was just something like, what is the most obvious example of romance being good? Or, people say that romance is good because it creates these close feelings of intimacy and trust. Is this a good example of what you mean by stuff that is good in romance? Never mind what we mean or don't mean when we use the word. Here is a specific thing that is bad.
Isn't the problem with that we thought that wasn't a good way of going about the argument?
What do you mean?
Me and Tanya were saying we didn't think the method of doing the argument in that way was going to be effective. But then what you're saying you should have said is just continuing to argue in that same way.
No, it was arguing in a different way, though.
We thought that there was a problem with how Lily was saying that romance was all the bad things, so then if we were to mention, it would make it impossible to defend.
Yeah, okay, yes. But I'm saying that this is a different way of proceeding. This is actually, instead of doing what you thought I was doing, then it's actually saying, look, here's a thing. Are you asserting that this particular thing is good? And if you actually thought that this was good, then that is something to argue about. It wouldn't be the case that you say something good and I say, oh, well, that's not romance. I'd say, here's something that you guys think is good. It's not that I'm saying, yes, well, that's not romance. I'm saying, no, it's actually bad. So this is an on-topic way of replying instead of me just saying the meta, which wasn't actually helpful. Not only it didn't progress the argument at all, but also I think that you didn't have enough reason to believe that I wouldn't answer in this way. So me just saying, oh, well, I won't answer in this way, wasn't that persuasive. But if I just stuck to the topic, then that would have at least progressed the argument. So why do this, yes, I did, no, you didn't part? Why not just say the actual thing? If they say, you haven't addressed so-and-so, the reply would be, so-and-so is wrong because so-and-so. Don't just say the exact wording of what you said before, but assume that they want a summary or a reminder or a clarification. So that's the end of meta.
Yay.